We're going to give it just a few more moments. We know we have a great turnout for today's session, so we want to make sure everyone is able to join us this morning, and then we will get started. Thank you for being here. All right. Good morning and welcome to the Arizona Commerce Authority Small Business Bootcamp for this Tuesday, July 13th session. My name is Faith Ritchie and I'm the Small Business Programs Manager here at the Arizona Commerce Authority, filling in for usual host Robert Theobald. As always, when we start these presentations, we want to acknowledge and give thanks to our amazing network of community partners who, without their dedication and time, we would not be able to present the content we are every Tuesday and Thursday. The Arizona Commerce Authority Small Business Bootcamp is a webinar series designed to help small businesses of less than 20 employees return from the COVID crisis stronger than ever. It is a statewide initiative as well as a resource collective and content library. The Resource Collective is a database of information provided by our community partners to provide guidance on how your business can return stronger. Whether that's through business essentials or marketing, we recommend you visit this website for more information. Our small business content library is a collection of nearly over 150 sessions. Throughout our 50 plus weeks of our Small Business Bootcamp series, we have engaged with many speakers, content, and resources, all of which we've been able to record and link on our website. So whether you have missed a session or you would like more information on a topic, please be sure to check out the Arizona Commerce Authority Small Business Bootcamp webpage in the archive section. As always, for updated COVID mitigation measures and resources, please be sure to review the ArizonaTogether.org as well as the Arizona Commerce Authority's COVID-19 website. For small businesses or any business throughout Arizona looking for additional information regarding small business access, workforce, or manufacturing needs, the Arizona Commerce Authority has a program dedicated to you. All information about the additional programs provided by the ACA are listed on our website. As always, the Arizona Commerce Authority Small Business Checklist is an interactive and intuitive online resource assisting entrepreneurs answer all of those fun licensing and permitting information for local, state, and federal levels. So whether you are starting, operating, or looking to grow in Arizona, there is information available for you on our checklist program. Now some small business updates. There are no real new updates from the past sessions that we've been able to provide, which is sometimes a good thing. But all of these links for PPP forgiveness, employee retention credit, those links will be in the chat box. So if you have not updated yourself on that information, please make sure to do so. Now, looking at some upcoming sessions for our bootcamp series. As you all know, that's why you're here today. We're excited to talk about social media as a cocktail party. But for Thursday, we'll be back with Google, talking about Google Analytics. And then into Tuesday, we're actually hosting 3 sessions on Tuesday with a Wednesday special session for PPP forgiveness in Spanish. Now, last but definitely not least, for our social media as a cocktail party, we'd like to turn the time over to Concept to Completion founder and Chandler Council member, Mark Stewart, who is here to talk with us about social media integration and implementation. And so if you have questions, please be sure to ask those in the Q&A as well as the chat. And we will go ahead and turn the time over to Mark and Jillian. Thank you so much for being here this morning.
Faith, thank you so much. And the pleasure is obviously all mine. I'm just grateful for everything that you and the ACA is doing for the business community in Arizona. I mean, it's what a wonderful land of opportunity Arizona has become, and everybody that's on the panel, and then everybody that's watching, thank you for being here. You know, I think, you know, I believe in the rising tide raises all boats, and I think if we can all share some information here that helps the community and helps these business owners be better and grow and get out of this pandemic and hit the ground running, we certainly want to do that. So today we're going to talk about social media and how to utilize it the best way for your business. And I think the one takeaway I want you guys to get from this is don't always talk about work. Don't always talk about your business when you're on social media. Share information, give, and people will start to follow you, and you will earn followers, business, and grow just from being a resource for folks to pay attention to you. So we're going to move through some slides here. I'm here with my partner, Jillian Grammer, and Jillian is a student of social media and digital media. And we'll move to the next slide, Jillian. She has been with us for over 2 years, and she's really the brains of the operation. And her knowledge of digital media is immense. She came from ASU. She's a graduate of the W.P. Carey School of Business. Was it magna cum laude? You were like at the top of your class, Jillian. Is that right?
Yeah, summa cum laude, yep.
Yeah. So we're delighted to have her as part of the C2C team. And so she's going to be sharing some information with us as well. So we're going to sort of tag team these slides. But most importantly, let's use this as a network opportunity. So down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a chat button. If you have the ability to work in tandem while you're listening to this, I'd reach out and go grab your LinkedIn profile and drop your link into the chat. This will be throughout the event, but you can also connect with us on those areas that you see there. A Concept to Completion AZ on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn is a great place to connect with us. And then we also share good information and content on Twitter. So we'll go to the next slide, thanks. And we're at tocompletion.com if you want to check out our website.
Okay.
So today, Jillian's going to kind of take over from here, and she's going to talk about how we can engage with each one of these platforms appropriately as a business owner. So Jillian, you want to take it away?
Okay, so to start our discussion, we first need to acknowledge that every platform is different. And what I mean by this is your audience demographic, your tone of voice, the type of content you post, how often you post, it's all going to vary on each one of these platforms. Now, we can have a separate conversation on each one of those, but today specifically, we're going to focus on what type of content to post and how to engage appropriately on each of these social media platforms. I also want to note that not every business needs to be on every single one of these platforms. My personal recommendation is not to spread yourself too thin by trying to manage a presence on every platform imaginable. Instead, focus your efforts on 2 to 3 that make sense for your business and your industry, and do it well. What I see a lot of businesses get wrong on social media is the purpose of it and how it's being used. I think the reason for this is that businesses used to be able to sell easily on social media. However, if you look at the current situation, social media is overflowing with content and people are more choosy on who they follow and what they click on. And I love this graphic in the middle here. It says the key to social selling is social, not selling. Meaning today, social media is more about developing a relationship with your audience. Because if you make that your main goal as a business on social media, the rest will follow. And marketing studies back this up. When consumers were asked what they want to see from a brand, ranked number 2, you can see on the left here, is connect with their consumers. Now you might be wondering, what's in it for me? You know, why is creating this connection so important? Well, when a consumer feels connected to a brand, they're 76% more likely to buy your product or service over a competitor. They're 68% more likely to recommend your brand to a friend. So main takeaway here is to focus on developing that relationship first. Now, the good news is social media is ranked as the #1 way for brands to create this connection, and it's free. So how do we connect? Here's a few behaviors consumers recognize as brands making an effort to create that connection. So liking and responding to consumers' comments on social media, showing your brand personality, creating a strong online presence or an online community are just a few examples. So if you're not already doing this, try them out and show your audience that you care and that you value them.
You know, one of the biggest things that I see with business digital media, especially with like a Facebook or a LinkedIn, is when somebody makes a comment on a post that one of our clients makes, and they don't talk back. That'd be like somebody peeking their head in the door of your shop, of your store, or your restaurant, and saying hi, and you're not saying anything back to them. On social media, it's important to engage and to have a nice jovial conversation with whoever's stopping by, because they're taking the time to connect with you. You should take the time to respond.
Well said. So this moves our discussion into what to post, essentially quality content. Here's 4 types of content to post that's not annoying and not salesy. Because did you know that 45% of consumers unfollow brands because of irrelevant content or too many ads from that brand? So here's what to post instead. We have entertaining, educational, inspirational, and conversational types of content. So some examples of entertaining piece of content can include fun and national holidays. I would say if this makes sense to your business, if you're an ice cream shop and it's National Chocolate Day, that's like a fun holiday to post. And people really like engaging with like the fun national holidays. You could post viral videos, jokes and memes, contests and giveaways, and even Throwback Thursday is a fun post to kind of show consumers a peek behind the curtain into your business and your staff. And then we have educational type of content. This can be tips and tricks. You can answer frequently asked questions. Industry research. This is one that we use a lot for our clients. We post trending news in that industry, add a couple lines of thought leadership to go along with it. And it's an easy post just to get out. Blog posts. This could be your own or someone else's. Case studies, you could post free resources, live video training such as this one, an infographic or how it's made. Inspirational type of content, this could be quotes, facts or trivia, beautiful images, success stories of your clients. That's one I really want to highlight because I feel like it's underlooked a lot of how far it can go and how much it will benefit your business in the long run. Showing a story of how your product or service has transformed a consumer's life is an inspiring story, and it's also benefiting your business and showing what your product or service can do.
Yeah, it's a peek behind the curtain, if you will, when you can share a testimonial or a story about one of your clients or even somebody that comes into your store and how they've interacted with your brand and how they found happiness and success. Those type of glimpses into the daily life of your business are, I think, really hot right now as it relates to content marketing. All of these things, especially the conversational piece and I don't want to steal your thunder here, Jillian, but all of these things are great ways for you to share content that's all about your customer, right? It's all about them. It's not about you in per se. And here's the other thing. If you are an expert in your space and you're a CEO or you're a president, you're the owner of a particular industry or business, you need to be sharing your knowledge and what you know as an expert. And people that are connected with your brand or need to be connected with your brand will start following you more and looking to you as an expert and looking to you as somebody that's a confidant for knowledge. And those are great ways to get followers as well. So, but the big takeaway here is don't post too much about yourself. Post for them. look at it from the eyes of what your consumer would see, and be just give things away, give ideas away, and give content and fun stuff away. Social media has changed the game for small business owners, especially. It's given us the opportunity to have a share of the market without having to spend thousands and thousands of dollars for television ads and things like that. So take advantage of it. Sorry, Julie, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really great point about putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer. Think about why would you want to follow this brand on social media? You need to ultimately provide value, and that can be done through these 4 types of content. And then the last one here we have is just conversational. So you can ask questions, such as like a would you rather. You could do a fill in the blank, or you can utilize polls.
And to bring this all back to the cocktail party theme, all of these things are things that you would do in a social setting, right? You would talk about fun things. You would have a conversation. You would give people some knowledge that you have if you're an expert in your space. And you would say things that are happy and inspirational and upbeat. Those are things that you certainly want to do. And later on, we'll talk a little bit about what you're not supposed to post, because there's probably one person on here that may still be posting about politics. But go ahead, Jillian.
Okay, so now we're going to go into examples of each of those 4 types of content. And these are all examples of clients of concept to completion. So starting with entertaining over here on the left, we have this one that's called The Dawn McDowell Show. Essentially, it's a weekly radio show that covers all things politics, hunting, fishing, conservation. And this right here was a clip of the live show. They also record it. So it's a video clip of them telling a dad joke. They do a dad joke of the week, and their audience loves it. So that's an example of a joke or a meme for entertaining. And then inspirational, this is Bump Fitness Club. They help women who are pregnant to prepare for labor and delivery through exercises and nutrition and personal training. So this is an example of a client success story. This is showing one of her clients working out in her 3rd trimester and the benefits of doing so. And then we have conversational. So this is for New Square Chandler. They had a new restaurant open up called Distillery. So this was a really simple one, and I recommend that people do this, because if you could see the engagement, the organic engagement and reach on it was great. So what we did was we took 4 menu items and we just simply asked people, what would you pick? And it's something so easy for someone to just comment A, B, C, or D and saying their personal preference on what they would choose to eat. So something as simple as that just starts a conversation and gets people engaging. And a lot of people shared this post as well.
Yeah, amazing thing about this post, Jillian, and it's a great job, is that, it was not boosted. We never boosted this post, and it got that reach. And I think at that time, New Square may have only had 150 to 250 followers at the time. But
yeah, and then lastly, we have educational, and this is for Sonora and Smile Orthodontics. So we're showing a behind the scenes look at the braces application process. This was a time-lapse video of a patient having their braces put on. And it kind of just showed people what the process looks like if they were to get braces on themselves, and just an educational piece of content there. Okay, so now we're going to go into each one of those social media platforms, starting with Facebook. Ask people about themselves on Facebook, and the keyword here is them. So the reason we're saying this is it's because it's based on studies that people have done on Facebook and what type of content people are engaging with. For instance, we know from a BuzzSumo study that video performs better than all other types of Facebook posts. In fact, on average, video posts on Facebook get at least 59% more engagement. And common reactions on Facebook videos are love and haha. So this tells us that people are interacting with content that they find inspirational, funny, or a mix of the two. And this goes for all platforms in your brand content marketing strategy in general, but always keep testing to see what works and what doesn't work. with your audience and what is resonating with them.
Yeah, and on Facebook, it's key to remember that, people want to know. Facebook is a great opportunity for you to share the social aspect of your business, right? Little glimpses of your employees behind the scenes, things that give people sort of that, just like you would with your family. If you're sharing pictures of vacation or you're sharing pictures of things that you're doing at a ball game or whatever, you kind of want to take that same sort of tact with Facebook and sharing content that people are just going to say, okay, this is a fun group. You're going to go back to that inspirational thing. You're going to share content that people want to engage with. And it's important to share video if you can. I think the biggest takeaway for Facebook is just to give, and try not to ever ask. And I wanted to say this earlier is, don't post too much on Facebook if you're a business. 3 times a week is about the max. And the reason I say that is that we've all hid a friend of ours business who posts every single day about the same pair of shoes. We don't want to see that all the time. And Facebook's a social event. And you want to treat it like, the How to Win Friends and Influence People book, right? And going back to the original premise here, ask them about themselves, right? Ask them what's going on in their life, or ask them what they think about your business or what they think about the industry. And that'll pay huge dividends.
Okay, so going into Instagram, my personal favorite, our content objective here is to give people a glimpse into the back room and show how I do what I do. So similar to Facebook, videos perform best on Instagram, especially IGTV and Reels. I would highly recommend staying up to date with Instagram's changes. A lot of people will say that the algorithm has changed on Instagram, and that's not necessarily true. The way that people are using the app is changing. So try out Reels if you haven't already, and you will see great growth from it if you do it well. So here's a few examples of content that we were discussing earlier, types of content that you can see on Instagram. So a behind the scenes post of what you're working on, just giving people kind of a glimpse of not just the final product, what actually goes into it. And people really appreciate that relatability. You could also do inspiring quotes. These always do well, and that's a super simple one. You can show your community involvement that your business has. And then you could also show how-tos or tips and tricks.
And it's okay to brag about your business on any of these channels. If you're doing things that are philanthropic, or you're part of if you're part of things that are bigger than yourself, it's okay to share that. People expect that, and it's not braggadocious or anything like that. You should definitely share those. Okay, and then Mark is going to take it away with Twitter. So Twitter's a fun and it's an engaging platform. Some people think it's not healthy and it's not good, but Twitter for Business can be a great opportunity for you to sort of share your expertise in a space. If you're a CEO, you should certainly be on Twitter. If you're in medical or orthodontics or anything like that, you should certainly be on Twitter, sharing what you think about your particular industry. The bottom line here is that you're just kind of sharing your thought with partygoers, and they're not answering. So it's sort of like giving a toast at a wedding. Nobody's going to kind of shout back at you. They may put some things in the thread, but I would recommend never really interacting. So share your thought, let people fill in comments down below or like it or not, and just leave it alone. I think the biggest thing about Twitter is that 75% of businesses are on there. So if you don't have a platform, you should try to get one. Believe it or not, Twitter advertising is pretty low. And from a brand awareness or an affinity, and you want to geofence your particular area, Twitter can be a relatively low cost way to sort of get your brand name out there and show up on some banner ads and things like that. So the thing about Twitter that you want to remember is that you certainly want to use an image, and you can give people a glimpse into the back room again, like we talked about earlier. Asking questions on Twitter is important. Ask people what they think about your industry. And then you want to make sure that you use less than 100 characters. I know you can use up to 140, but if on mobile, if it goes below the fold, to use an old newspaper term, if it goes below the fold, people are less likely to interact with it because they don't want to have to hit it on the button. We've become pretty used to just scrolling. That's why TikTok, which we'll get to later, has become so successful. Limit your hashtags to 1, 2, maybe 3 at the most if you need to absolutely get those hashtags, but make sure that you use them. And then use images and GIFs whenever you can, and monitor events for trending conversations. So sometimes if there's a particular event that's going on, let's say the All-Star game is going on, use the hashtag All-Star game, because your tweet might pop up on somebody's thread that's following that particular hashtag. So next slide, please. So LinkedIn. So I think for everybody here, and I've already dropped my LinkedIn link into the chat. Please connect with me if you have any questions about what we're talking about today, or just in general. We just all want to network. We're all family here. So LinkedIn is a virtual trade show. You know, we need to look around at thought leaders within our space. We need to be thought leaders within our space, and we need to comment on people's comments in our industry. You know, one of the things I've found recently, and with some of the folks that we work with, and we do some CEO development where we help them sort of develop their LinkedIn cadence and sort of the content that they push out so they can look like experts and be experts in their space. But we want to do that on LinkedIn, not only as owners and CEOs, but we want to do that as businesses, right? So you want to be able to create a business page. It helps you with your SEO. It helps you network with folks, but you definitely want to be on LinkedIn at least every other day. You want to be going through, liking people's posts, commenting on those posts that you agree with, or that you have some thoughts about. You don't try to share or steal somebody's thunder, if you will. Don't try to overtalk them on their post, but just say, hey, great, thoughtful comment. Thanks for sharing this. This is helpful for me. People remember that. If you've ever posted something on LinkedIn and gotten that feeling that somebody gives you when they say, hey, I agree with what you said, or this is a great post, you know how that feel. Well, that raises your personal brand affinity. So people start to like you more and those kind of things. We want to go back to earlier too. Ask people what they think about what's going on in a particular industry on LinkedIn. You can learn a lot about your customers that way as well. So, you know, the 3 big things that you want to share about on LinkedIn are jobs and career info. If you are hiring, it's a great place to find quality candidates. You want to share company news. It's just not for press releases. You want to share that on LinkedIn. And if you have a press release, especially share that on LinkedIn. And then you want to obviously put professional content out. What we don't want to do is talk about politics. We don't want to put up family pics. We don't want to use glamour shots. We want to be boring and business focused. And I know earlier in the very beginning of this, we said, don't be boring, but on LinkedIn, you want to be sort of sterile. You want to share just business only content. Here's the thing. LinkedIn has a trust factor that's off the charts as it relates to content. What we see on different channels doesn't necessarily have the same trust level. So when you're posting on LinkedIn, it helps with your brand. And a brand is a promise. It's a trust and a promise that you're making. So make sure that you're sharing the right content here. Jillian, you had anything on that?
Yeah, I just want to make one note here about LinkedIn. LinkedIn acts as its own search engine. So make sure that your company page or that your personal profile is something that you're proud of and okay with people looking at, and that it's up to date. Because even if you've made that profile 5 years ago and then never touched it again, when you type that company or personal name into Google, it's often one of the first searches that comes up. So just make sure that your LinkedIn is updated.
Yeah, great point about the first thing that comes up. And just FYI, if you can fix one thing on your LinkedIn, make sure you get a professional headshot. I know you've probably heard that before, and you probably haven't. Somebody on this video has not done that. Get that done. If you run a company or if you're in leadership within an organization, you absolutely need a professional headshot. So that takes me to connecting our personal brand to your business. We want to elevate our personal brand on LinkedIn because that's going to drive people to our business page. If we have credibility within our personal page, that's going to help lift our brand awareness for our business page. So build a strong personal LinkedIn profile that links back to your business, of course. Make sure you keep your business and your personal profiles up to date, and make sure you're active. You don't have to post every other day. Matter of fact, you don't even have to post every week, but you certainly need to be posting about every week, every other week, and you need to be posting good information and sharing some thought leadership. So if you go to my because I wear two hats as an elected official and as a business owner. If you go to mine, I kind of bounce back and forth between the two. Those are both elevating my personal brand and business brand, but people then drive back to my C2C page and they go to some other pages that I make share of my clients as well. So LinkedIn's a great place to do that. And it's a great place for you to elevate your personal brand. As I mentioned earlier, we help leaders within the industries that they're in elevate their personal brand and coach them on messaging and do things like that. And it's super important today because, like Jillian said earlier, it's one of the first people, when somebody hears about a business, the first thing they do is they look up their website on Google. When they hear something about a professional, the first thing they do is they look up their LinkedIn profile to see what kind of credibility they have online. So we want to certainly be doing that and building our personal brand to help you build credibility. So thank you. So the others that we'll talk about here, and I'm going to save TikTok for last because that's a booming category. It's a booming channel that's growing right now. It's starting to level off a little bit these days, but it's still a place that we want to talk about. But Snapchat is a place for big brands to advertise to ages 13 to 25. We don't do Snapchat for any of our businesses at this particular time because one, it's expensive, and two, it's not a place that necessarily is finding success with advertising. If you were to advertise on Snapchat, it would be awareness only. There really is a tough place to get conversion. Pinterest, on the other hand, is a big grower. Matter of fact, we are starting to steer a lot of our clients to this if they want to layer on a little bit more content creation. And what we're seeing is people are saving these pins. If you're not familiar with Pinterest, Pinterest is a place where you can share pictures of things that are going on in your industry. So for example, we have an interior design company in our portfolio, and we share content of them before and afters on Pinterest, and people love that content. We have to pin a lot of things, but what we're seeing is that content's being saved to their boards, and then they're using those boards for inspiration. And sometimes it's driving them back to our website, and then that's creating leads for our particular client because they're seeing something on Pinterest that they love. It definitely skews to more of a female audience, but I know more and more men are getting on there to look at pins as well. So schedule your pins out is a great way to utilize Pinterest, so you can sit down for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and schedule those out through the week. You can pin a lot. It's kind of like Instagram. If you overpost, it doesn't really hurt your brand at all, like it would on Facebook. But you do have to make sure that you design the images for the proper sides. And these slides will be up later, so you can look at this later, and you can pull some of this information up. We're going to share the slides. The ACA will share the slides with you, and it'll be on the website. But we don't want to use hashtags on Pinterest either. But TikTok's the craze. The fastest growing demographic within TikTok right now is Generation X and Boomers. They are adopting this quickly. There's clearly not as many of them that are adopting this as much as it is the Millennials and Gen Z, but it's certainly a growth area. If you've got time on your hands, if you have a personality, if you have a great story to tell behind the scenes, you certainly want to be using TikTok. I know that we have one of our orthodontist clients that uses TikTok occasionally, and it's really engaging. And we actually have our radio show, that Don McDowell show. They use TikTok as well to take little clips of their show, and they share it on TikTok, and they share some thought leadership there as well. We certainly want to use hashtags there. It's all user-generated content. What we do is we have our clients create content, and then we actually put the wording over it, and we do some things like that for them. But they're the ones that are creating the actual videos and then sending those over. That is the best way to do it, is create the video and then work backwards into it. But TikTok is growing. It's going to continue to grow. It's a very easy to use tool, and that it is a place where you can advertise, but advertising is expensive.
Yeah, the thing about TikTok that sets it apart from all the other platforms is that it really is a fair chance for anyone to go viral or for their videos to be seen by new eyes. So think if you have someone inside your business that can have this role of creating TikTok videos, showing those behind the scene clips, or just like fun. You don't have to do dances. There's other things that you can do on TikTok. Definitely try it out as an awareness tactic into your content marketing strategy.
Yep. Good call. So what not to post? So don't sell, right? You got to adopt. And I've said this for years now, and I'm a big follower of Gary Vaynerchuk. He said this probably 10 years ago when he was really getting into the social media scene, and he built a multi-million-dollar industry just based on thought leadership around social media and how to treat it. But adopt the mentality of giving rather than asking. So, I mean, give 10 times before you ask for anything. If you go look at some of my content, for example, it is nonstop. I'm sharing content that can help people with their business. And very, very occasionally, I'll say, if you want to learn more, you can reach me here. That's it. That's as subtle as it is. People know what I do. If they need my help, they're going to reach out. If you're a restaurant or they know you make hamburgers, right? You don't have to ask them to come in. Share with them how you make your hamburgers. Share with them why you make your hamburgers. Because the why in business is what people are searching for today. How are you connected to the community and things like that? So I have a hard time being negative. I'm always thinking about what you should be doing, but don't post promotions, for example, especially on Facebook, because people see that as salesy. And don't post irrelevant content. Stay on brand with your messaging so that people can trust what you're putting out and they'll continue to follow you. Otherwise, you're going to go, and you can learn this lesson by looking at your Facebook insights. If you've ever had a time where people have unfollowed you and you're like, why do they unfollow me? Go back and look at the post that you put up when they unfollow you. I will guarantee you it's probably about you, it's off brand, or it is something that is offensive, or it is something that is politics related, or something that people are just not looking for when they're looking to be social on social media. So, oh, I stole my own thunder, but it's give, and then ask, right? So learn how to promote your business without talking about it. Find content that your followers want to see, and never ask for business. You should ask yourself, are you posting for you or the audience? And you should become a thought leader on social content and on your industry, right? So it's the 80-20 rule. It's, like I said earlier, it's probably 9 out of 10 times I will do other content that is giving, and then 10% of that will be self-promotion. So saying something about us. And a great way that we self-promote is we'll share this video and tell people, hey, we're experts in this space. If you'd like to connect with us, you know how to find us. So anything to add there? So I love Q&A, and I'm sure there's some questions in the chat. And I don't know if our moderator is going to help with answering some of those questions or asking some of those questions, but I'm going to go into that real quick here. And go through some of these questions. Faith?
No, that's perfect, Mark. I was going to read them to you, but if I can read them.
No, go ahead and read them.
All right. Well, our first question comes from Peggy. How do you shift your personal page on LinkedIn when you change industries? She started as a professional consultant and now is a winery owner.
Well, first of all, Peggy, we certainly need to connect on LinkedIn. If you're a winery owner, I certainly want to know you. But that's a great question. I think you just want to get in there and just be honest with folks and tell people what you've done. I mean, if you've moved into that space, you absolutely want to let people know about it. So put that up as sort of like, just a new job listing. That's how I would add it. But if you're a winery owner, you absolutely want to create a winery page and a showcase page for your business. And that's very easy to do. And if you need some help, we can send you a couple screenshots. Just send me an email. You can go to my contact page on my address, and then I'll send you some screenshots on how to do that, or maybe we could have a Zoom call together as well. Be happy to help.
I just want to add here real quick too, is I think LinkedIn is also a great place that I've seen people share their personal stories about their career. So maybe you could put out a post about why you were driven to change your career, what made you want to choose the winery business, kind of just share your personal career story.
Fantastic. David has an excellent question. Is there a dedicated application that draws on these social media accounts, the specific key metrics, and tracks the performance and profitability drivers so that one can properly position changing trends without disturbing continuity of content.
Well, David, that actually could be another whole presentation on the ACA small business events. There's a lot there in that question. And I think, we like to use, I've used HubSpot in the past. I actually moved away from that recently. But HubSpot is a great tool for you to use to sort of house all that information. Obviously, Salesforce is another one that's a little more expensive. Jillian, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just make sure you're paying attention to your Google Analytics and your social media analytics. I think we would need to know a little bit more about what you're trying to track. But I think Google Analytics is a great place to start.
Yeah, the profitability drivers is something that you would have to measure on your own, just kind of looking at how your business is run. But if you're looking at your Google Analytics and you want to understand where people are coming from and what they're tracking and why they're showing up to your site and what their behavior is while they're on your site, those are things that we share with a couple of our clients, well, with all of our clients when we have our monthly reviews. Is we say, okay, here's where they're coming from. And then when they get to your site, this is where they're going. And so that tells us what kind of content to put on the website to sort of make that particular page or that particular article or blog or whatever it may be a little bit more robust so that they'll stay connected and sticky. We're really interested in bounce rate on website. So we want to get those bounce rates below 70% or 60%. So when somebody shows up, we want them to find content that's engaging to the website. But I don't know if that answers your question, but I think HubSpot's one of the best tools out there to track what's going on in social media and provide analytics. We do most of that in-house. So we put our analytics reports together on our own because we like to be a little bit more nuanced in the way we look at it.
Excellent. And also, shameless plug, don't forget, we will be doing a Google Analytics webinar this Thursday. So top of mind.
Absolutely. Yeah, you should definitely, if you're on this one, you should definitely be on that because Google Analytics is a great way to tell how people are acting online and how they're engaging with your content. So.
All right. Question from Michelle. Are you doing any pre-canned videos? Do you see that happening in the future?
Well, I think if you mean by pre-canned videos, if you're talking about like iStock videos and things like that, we've used a couple of those in this presentation. You may have saw that on the second page of this deck. You should certainly be using videos. And if you need to use a third-party app or an Unsplash to get those videos, people are more likely to interact with that content.
Oh, she clarified in the chat on TikTok.
On TikTok? When you say pre-canned videos, if you mean videos that you've created or you've tethered to or stitched, yeah, you can absolutely, at the end of the day, get it out there and put something out. Because on TikTok, here's what I've always said, TikTok, nobody's watching you anyway, right? It's not like you may have 40 followers that just happen to randomly follow you or whatever, but TikTok's one of those things where you just put something out and you just see what happens. If it doesn't go viral, nobody's going to see it. If it goes viral, then you've hit the jackpot. Jillian, you any thoughts?
Yeah, I would definitely stray away from stock videos on TikTok. I think that's one of the main things that appeals to consumers on TikTok is that it's really raw and authentic. So I definitely would encourage real videos if you're able to. Good point that Mark made is you can put out like 10 different videos, similar videos, but slightly different and see which one performs the best. And then you could just delete the ones that don't. So it's really just about trial and error on there.
Fantastic. Yeah. We have such great questions today. Can you both speak to the difference between personal profiles and business pages?
Absolutely. So your personal profile on your LinkedIn, for example, and I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Your personal profile is all about you, right? It tells you your work history. Hopefully you've got some friends that recommended you or at least endorsed you. You've got some things that you've shared online that are personal to you and are personal to your industry. And then your business page is exactly what it is. And so you create that separately. It's kind of like Facebook, right? You have your personal page where you look at dogs and hamburgers online with your friends, and then you have this sort of business page where you share what's going on in your business and how your business can help others, and you're sharing content that they want to engage with. It's the same thing as on LinkedIn. Might be able to show you an example, but I'm not sharing screens right now. Jillian, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think especially on LinkedIn, just share your personal news on your personal page. And then if you're managing your business page, that would be more what's going on in your business, maybe highlight an employee. So there's differences there between the two.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Amy's post. I've noticed that in the past, I've posted on LinkedIn and even my colleagues don't see it or can't find it in their feed. Is there a way to increase visibility?
Oh, great question. Yeah, hashtags are certainly a great way to do that, as well as making sure you share a picture and sharing some thought leadership, right? Get people to read what in above the fold too, in that first 2 or 3 sentences. You want to say something that's kind of hitting, or you want to say something like, check this out, or here's what I think about this, because I think that is going to be key for your friends to sort of see it and then like it. And then what LinkedIn will do is pick up that algorithm as it tends to provide a little bit more activity, and LinkedIn sees that people are engaging with it, and then it's going to elevate that in more people's feeds.
Yeah, and if your colleagues aren't seeing your LinkedIn post, if you're on your business page and posting it, there's a button there that says notify employees. So as long as those other employees have that they're working for the same company as you, it'll notify them and give them a notification on LinkedIn that a new post came out.
Fantastic. Peggy has a question that I think a lot of our business owners probably have is, I have over 70 videos on YouTube. How can I repurpose them to get more out of them on social media?
Jillian, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, there's so much you can do with it. If you have 70 videos, like you're probably set for the rest of the year. Like you can take those videos and you could do 3-minute videos on IGTV, little snippets. You can turn them into reels. You could take the best point that you made or the funniest point that you made in those videos and put it on TikTok. You can repurpose it in so many ways. So you're definitely at an advantage having all that content available to you.
Yeah, no, I can't say it any better. I mean, that's it's a great answer.
So it's always what we like to hear, a great answer. Amelia had a question in the chat. What are your thoughts on IG saying they are no longer a photo sharing platform? Should a business use the same TikTok posting ideas for Reels?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm a big believer in trial and error. Like social media has made it so that these platforms have made it so that, I'll use the term, so common folks like us can get out there and put our story out and share our why with folks. I think at the end of the day, you can certainly do that. I would try it. I think that any video and any content that you create is going to parlay between the two platforms very easily. TikTok just has this interesting sort of niche, and I think people are still learning how to maximize it. The folks that have really, like, I was watching a TikTok the other day of these guys that were, I don't know how it came up on my feed. I think it was Married to My Wife's feed, and I was picking something up for her. But they basically were loggers, and they were just giving people some. Or I remember one where I was watching where a guy was cleaning weeds with a backhoe, like in the middle of like Oklahoma or something like that. It was the most fascinating thing we did. And at the very end, you could see who the company was that was doing it. It was a third party that was coming in, cleaning out around these bushes and stuff on these big sort of like these big developments and stuff. It was just fascinating. But I think just creating content and putting that out and giving people content that they want to read or that they want to see. Video's king.
Excellent. Related question from Chris. What length should videos run?
Well, I like short videos. On obviously on TikTok, they have to be under a minute. If you want people to see your video in Instagram, in the Instagram feed, it needs to be under a minute. If you take it over a minute, It's going to move to Reels, which is getting more and more popular. So people that want to consume, but I think under 3 minutes. If you're on YouTube, it can be up to 5 to 10 minutes. I think that's an important number to hit. And so we didn't even talk about YouTube on here, but YouTube is a great and inexpensive way to advertise. But this is basically the basics. If you have 70 videos, like you said earlier, you should be promoting those on YouTube. It's a really inexpensive advertising avenue, and it's really easy to micro-target and geofence that content so people can see your brand and learn about your company.
Great segue into YouTube. And the question starts about YouTube. If you work in different industries, is it better to have different YouTube channels so the topic is focused, or the same YouTube channel with playlists for the different types of content so it combines followers?
I like having one channel with different playlists, if you will, because I think that I want to see more subscribers on your page, because that gives you credibility. It's sort of like followers. If I see 1,000 followers on somebody on Facebook as a business owner, that's kind of a threshold for me. I think the same thing would hold true for YouTube. But YouTube is a tough animal to get subscribers. It didn't used to be, but it certainly is now. You've got to create really engaging content, and you've got to really sort of carve out your niche and stay true to that, and stay focused on what it is that you're providing as a content related. Jillian?
Yeah, I think you could start off by posting both of your industries on the same channel and just see which one performs better. If people are fascinated and interested with one industry, but they're not watching the other one at all, then you know what type of content to make in the future.
Perfect. Kind of quiet in the Q&A box right now. We do have a few more moments left in this webinar, so if you do have questions, please put those in the Q&A. We're getting some great questions today. As a reminder, this session and the slides will be posted on our website. That website for the boot camp is within the chat. Lisa has posted that previously, so be sure. Those usually turn around really quickly, so we should have that shared no later than tomorrow. We do have a question in the chat. As of right now, I'm starting on Instagram, and I've been posting sneak peeks because I'm not launching until August. So far, it's working. Is there any additional advice on what else I can do?
Oh, heck yeah. There is you should give people a glimpse into what I would be more interested to know why you're kind of being guarded about it. If you're about ready to start a new business, let people know, bring them on the journey with you. Tell them, like, here's what I did today. Here's what's going on in my life as it relates to starting a new business. We've moved into this gig economy. We've actually blown through what is a gig economy of a few years ago. And there are so many entrepreneurs, especially in this state. There's so many people that are starting up businesses. There's so many people that have great ideas, and they're going to be definitely interested in your journey. And here's the cool thing about that. And I remember we started a long time ago, I started a sporting goods product. It was like an exoskeleton for snow skiing. And one of the things that we did during that is we were taking video when we were working with the engineers. We were taking video when we were setting up the website, and we were sharing that content with our folks that wanted to be early adopters. They were totally engaged with it. They were watching our journey to launch, and it was absolutely exciting. It was a fun thing to do. Just got to remember to do it. But that's a big recommendation I'd give you, is share that information. Don't guard it. We're in a sharing economy, so get it out there.
Excellent. Rhonda, a question in the Q&A: can you preload posts to a new Instagram page?
Jillian?
As long as the page is established, you can use third-party platforms or even the Facebook Creator Studio to schedule out content. So we use Later, but if you want to use a free option, you can use that Facebook Creator Studio and just utilize the publishing tools on there and schedule out upcoming posts.
Perfect. Excellent. And we'll close with one last question in the Q&A. I believe we've touched on this before, but just restating, we're in multiple vertical markets. On Instagram, should we have multiple accounts, i.e. a salon financing construction, financing aesthetics, printer financing? I think it's hard for these vertical markets to relate to our posts when we post about a salon info and the viewer is construction.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, there's two schools of thoughts on this, and I'd have to be a lot more knowledgeable about your space, and I'd have to go take a look at your platforms and kind of see what's engaging and kind of look at the analytics. But just as a, you know, from my professional opinion is that managing 3 different accounts can be challenging. What you want to do is use the right hashtags for your particular content, because those are going to reach the people that are interested in that particular content. So if it's salon financing, you want to use obviously hashtags for salon, because that post will hit people that are interested in that. And then the ones that aren't, that it's about construction, those won't. The thing is that the behavior today is there's not a lot of wall checking. Like nobody's going to like go to your wall and like do a deep dive into your wall. They're going to go to your wall and they're going to look at some pictures. And they're basically going to see what you're all about. And hopefully they'll go back and they'll look at your profile and then hit your website. Jillian, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with that?
I would recommend to have them separate if they're completely separate industries. But again, we would have to like sit down and take a closer look at your business.
Yeah, it's a management thing. Like I just think about your industry, for example. And this is why Jillian and I work together so well. It's like we have different opinions about a way things should be handled. And I think with yours, particularly because you're in a finance space, what you're trying to do is finance. That's your core competency, right? You're helping people with loans and things like that. That is who you should project yourself as. Everything else is a different menu item, right? In my opinion. So you have different, you know, you have a dessert section, you have a entree section, and I would focus on what's the most profitable line of your business as things that you should promote more, right? Because that's who you want to draw people in with. But if you're in finance, though, you should be taking that energy that you're talking about there, and rather than doing 3, you should be doing LinkedIn. That's where business owners are. Go ahead.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I know we are running out of time. We have a few more questions. I know that Mark and Jillian had shared their information earlier into the presentation as well as in the chat box. So please, if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to them. But we will wrap it up for this Tuesday session. Mark and Jillian, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your information. It's always great to hear all of this, because I know it's a question that we get a lot from small businesses who have to wear so many hats. And so it's so nice to be able to have the time to really walk through these platforms, and especially new platforms like TikTok and Snapchat, where people are scared to even know about them. So thank you for sharing that information today. As a reminder, we will be back here on Thursday with Grow with Google, talking about Google Analytics. So thank you again for joining us, Mark and Jillian, and the rest of you. Have a great rest of your day.
Hey, thanks so much. We had a blast. That was awesome.
Excellent.
Yes.